The Memphis Grizzlies fired their head coach, Taylor Jenkins, this weekend. The Memphis Grizzlies are in a position right now where they are fighting with the Lakers for the 4-5 seed. I don't know where they are this second, Coca. I actually could look, but it's not relevant. They're not in the play-in game at all currently. They are actually potentially hosting a first-round series. What makes you fire a coach when you've got very few games left in the regular season and your team is performing? The answer every single time is there has to be something acute. You do not fire the coach and then talk to your fan base and say, we thought this move gave us the best chance to win now. The reason why that doesn't hold water is that no new coach is going to come in and be able to effectuate change in that period of time. They're going to use this. It's like changing your football coach in week 17 if you're a playoff team. It's absurd. The reason why you would make a change like that, if something became so untenable, if Taylor Jenkins had a shouting match with the owner, if Taylor Jenkins did something illegal, and I'm not hypothesizing that he did, I'm merely telling you that what's on the table and what's being told to you, that John Morant didn't like the offense, that John Morant, it's like a player empowerment, John Morant wanted him fired, or that they got embarrassed in a fourth quarter and they lost a game. The fact that they're only 2 games away from being the 8th seed. Let's make that change, and then let's tell people we're doing it now. There's 8 games to go in the regular season. Do not believe the front office of the Grizzlies when they tell you that's the reason. We've tried it. I've tried everything with firing managers. The truth always is that when you fire a manager or a coach, because at a time of the season that doesn't make sense to save that particular season, you're doing it because something went wrong. So you can cover that several ways, and I've tried all of them. You can fire your hitting coach, your pitching coach, your bullpen coach. You can fire a bunch of people in scouting right before the draft. You can do all those things. And the Grizzlies did that. They fired a bunch of assistant coaches. They fired a bunch of people with Taylor Jenkins, some people who were with Ja, some people without Ja, all for the purpose of saying, look, this wasn't just Taylor. This was about our offense, our defense, our performance. This was about our concern about this year. This was about not giving Ja what he wants. It had nothing to do with that. It's all straight horse hockey. The Memphis Grizzlies made this change because clearly something had been bubbling and then it bubbled over. The GM was so careful when he talked about this firing because he doesn't want to look like a eunuch to tell you, hey, I don't know what you're all talking about. Players didn't even know, didn't even consult them, had no idea. They read about it just like you did. Do you believe that for one hot second? Do you believe that there is a GM? Because if it's true, here's the problem with what the Memphis GM said. If it's true, that GM needs to be fired. Because if you do not talk to your players and your captain, your veterans, your best players about a coaching change with 8 games to go in the regular season, that is general manager malpractice. You don't need to talk to them during the offseason. You don't need to talk to them in April or May when it's fairly obvious what you're doing in baseball, trying to get better because you've got time to turn it around. But at the end of a season, as you're heading into October, whether you're the 4th seed or the 8th seed doesn't matter to me. There is no GM who would not consult a player, more than a player. There's committees of veteran players that you talk about these things with, but we pretend we don't because we want you to think that, hey, we don't need to do that. We don't want anyone to think that anyone's got power except us. But in fact, it makes you look ridiculous. It's not giving powers to players when you talk to them about what do we do here, and then you listen to the players and then either do what they say or don't do what they say. But input, it's like companies get input from employees all the time. That's why there are evaluations up the chain and down the chain. There's always evaluations happening. and you have to involve everyone who's close to it. Otherwise, you're never going to get better. Why couldn't the GM just have gotten up and said, yeah, of course I spoke to the players and they could not operate under this system anymore, and they felt as though there was time this season for a change. I disagree, but I'm going to go with them. What would be wrong with doing that? If I'm the owner of the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm calling in the GM right now, and I'm saying, listen, you got your PR wrong. Why didn't you just look right into the camera and say, it's just business?